I could change my name.
Is that yours?
No, it's Bob Warren. I'll put Bob's.
Like they're still set up from public works.
Yeah, I'll put Bob's down.
Whoops, you that one already.
Good, no.
Well, I got some, I'm trying to find you. Your name.
I'm picking up more letters.
You don't want to get into Dennis. And Bob sits here. This is Phil. Dean. Phil.
Bingo.
Rick. Terry. To read somewhere.
Yeah. That's.
Did you set it up already?
Set it up.
What's that? You what? Oh, you couldn't find that. Where did you put me at? Oh,
I'm here, I can, let me.
Am I in your
Tom,
spot?
you sit here.
Here, I can move down. No, here. Look how easy it is.
right now I'm trying to find Matt's name.
You're right here. Oh.
I move the here, I move here.
Just like you were. What do you say?
I'm not.
Thank you.
I could never do those things.
Doing your sign. Somewhere.
Yeah,
Trustee
Rick, it
Miller.
was so funny.
What's that?
I was telling Trustee Miller, thank you for getting,
Oh, that trustee. Forget there's.
so then,
Good one.
so your
So,
hand is.
You guys really,
Oh, here.
you guys all carry your,
Yes,
you unlock the door. do you?
it's in my truck.
I don't even know where my key is
What?
I don't.
to unlock the front door. I mean, I got here way too early.
Do you have probably the front door?
Yeah.
Every time somebody would go in, I'd say, okay, the door is unlocked.
Trustee
I get out of my car
Trustee
and
Miller,
it was locked. And I go
Terry
back to
already
my car.
unlocked it. Oh, I thought Terry was telling him to go unlock the door.
No, it was, I was out there in the parking lot forever,
Oh.
waiting for it to be unlocked, because
It's a little bit of chaos.
like,
I never use.
our attorney came in and it was so funny. I said, oh, door's unlocked. So I got, I got there and the door was locked, you know, just like 3 times. But it was too cold to stand there. So I just went back in the car and watched the football game.
What about a little stand?
We do have a little student.
Harry doesn't.
Oh, I had one. I must have given you mine.
Oh, we got, there.
We're kind of off kilter here.
This whole week is.
Usually
this
still
week
right
is off
here.
the- Yeah, I know. We all end up moving down one. I don't know why that is either. Must have extra people here.
Maybe.
It is odd. It just feels odd. The whole last week has felt odd.
Monday, because my power went out yesterday.
Yesterday, mine was out
Oh, your
for,
whole area was out.
I know.
1,500 homes.
Well, 30,000 altogether in G-Town, I heard.
Yeah, my,
Yeah, 30,000
my parents were out
was.
Wednesday and Friday.
Oh, wow.
I said, they're probably on
And I
my
was
thing.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
You out both days too?
Um,
And luckily my neighbor came over and said, "Jane."
And then Spectrum went out.
well, that goes out with the
I
power.
went to
Yeah.
Walgreens and, they couldn't even, they closed the doors because they didn't have any internet.
Yeah,
Well, the clinic too, I know, Trader was closed. The power was out on Friday.
oh my.
I don't know, it must have been, like everybody else, but. I was sitting there waiting for appointments.
Oh,
Oh, dear.
It's not on air yet.
Oh.
Do the mics go on with the?
No, they should. Yeah, mine's on. Hello?
We're ready. I will call this meeting of the General Government and Finance Committee to order at 6:02 PM. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call. All members are present. Citizen input. We have citizen input here. Please come up to the podium and submit a yellow slip with your name and address if you wish to come forward.
Right, Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. Glad to see everyone out here on a nice cold evening. And I'm also really happy to see that there is some movement on getting the 2023 audit done much earlier this year, which will be really helpful for the whole budgeting process and for all of the staff and departments. And so, great job. Thank you for doing that. Well, the one thing I do want to make a comment about is on the item D under new business, and that is the American Rescue Plan ARPA dollars. In there, there is a $500,000 line item for a new police department building. And I think it's based on the fact that we are several years away from having additional dollars released by TIDS closing, that it's a little premature to get started and to spend the money on that type of effort when we have just gone through an austere budget cutting, and there are several items from last year's budget discussion that would be better placed immediately to serve our residents right away. Until those TIDs are closed, all of the revenue from those TIDs are not available for being put into the general fund. And this is one of the complaints I have about this use of TIDs, because dollars are diverted away from the day-to-day. And we are in this situation where we have to go for a public safety referendum because these dollars are not available to us now, which if they had not been in a TID, they would be available to us because there would be more organic development. It may not have happened as fast, the dollars would be available now, and we wouldn't have the fees or the Ehlers costs to manage the TID funds and all of those kinds of things. So I think it's premature to be dealing with the police department design fees at this point, when there's plenty of other items that the village could be putting the money towards. So those are my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward for citizen input? All right, if not, we will move on to consent agenda, the regular meeting minutes of December 18th, 2023.
Move approval.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to accept the minutes of December 18th. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There is no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. Item A, website and hosting annual contract.
This is just the annual fee that we pay for the website hosting. As you can see in the graph, it's gone up a little throughout the year, but it's not much more. So this year's cost would be $12,717. I see in the memo that I accidentally put that just in the itemized section instead of the regular section. So, and just so you know, the new GL in the Tyler Munis software is actually different. So what's shown in this memo is what was the MSI number, but I can give you the Tyler software or the Tyler
You're saying under
GL number.
Excuse me, the summary explanation is the old number?
Yes.
Under that, the
yes.
GL?
Yes.
And that
And I have
dollar
the new
amount should
number if
be
you want, but-
12,717.57.
Right. Yep. So that's the total cost, and I accidentally put it just under the website hosting and support, but that's the full cost. The cost for the website hosting and support is $12,259, and then as it states, the others are for DNS hosting and SSL management of the old site.
Okay, committee?
I will move for approval of the website and hosting annual contract in the amount of $12,717.57.
Second.
We have, excuse me, we have a motion to approve the website and hosting annual contract. Any further discussion? Yes, trustee Jan Miller.
Who is managing the hosting of the website?
Civic Plus.
Civic Plus? Is this the new version or the old same old version?
I mean, they're an organization, so
No, but we were
The site itself?
the version of Civic Plus. I thought we were going to, in a couple of years or next year, like this year, we were going to get a new version.
well, we're just going to get an update to our website. It's not a new version. It's just if we want to update colors or switch the layout, that's what we have the opportunity to do this year. So it would go into effect in January of 2025, but this is the year where we start to discuss, how do we want it to look? What changes do we want? We don't have a ton of control, but we do have some. If you look at different Civic Plus websites in different municipalities,
Yes.
we can take some of their,
Ideas.
ideas and switch it out.
And will you be gathering those ideas, you and your department, or
Yep.
what?
So I have started talking to Steve about, how we're going to go about doing this throughout the year. So.
Okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, engineering tech and land surveyor positions and pay grades.
There we go. Matt Mortwitt, Director of Public Works, for those that haven't met me in person yet. With this request, we're Asking that the pay grade for two positions, well, for one position be raised from a pay grade 2 to a pay grade 3. That's for the engineering technician. And then the land surveyor position currently isn't situated in a pay grade, and we'd like to place that position in pay grade 4. We feel that based on some market analysis that we've done, that these pay rates that we're requesting are very well in line with what other municipalities around the area are paying for these positions. And building out kind of the remainder of the engineering department now that I'm in place and Kevin is in place, I think is a very important next step for us to really be able to take care of all of our responsibilities.
Trustee Kaminsky.
You're too new to be able to probably answer this, Matt, but maybe Steve or somebody else could help. When was the last time we even had an engineering tech?
Well, there is one on staff now.
But didn't we used to have two at one point?
I believe at one point there were 2 and a land surveyor,
Okay.
and they've been kind of on and off at various points throughout the
Because they
years.
haven't, I don't remember them being on staff for a long time.
It's been a long time, and I looked back at some records like as far back as 2015, 2016, and I think at that time there were, but at some point between now and then they've gone away. And I think the previous director had just held off on hiring, and with that changeover and village engineer also going vacant, things just kind of
Okay.
really.
I think this is a good idea to get us finally staffed up correctly. So I have no problem with this. But I have to always ask the question, did we survey all of the surrounding communities like Mequon and Grafton? And this is what,
We did a couple. I can't say we surveyed all of them, but just some comparables that we listed here. So engineering tech, I found 2 that were hiring the position right now in Wisconsin, 1 in southeast Wisconsin. But the city of Oak Creek is hiring an engineering tech 1, which is their entry level engineering tech, in the range of 53,000 to 67,000. So that lines up very comparable to the pay grade that we're requesting. The city of Appleton, a little further away, but very similar pay range, starting at 53,000 and going to 74,000. With the land surveyor, that's a little more specialized of a position, and there aren't as many active hires going on right now. But according to like median salary data in Wisconsin, the pay grade 4 would line up very well with that. It's also often the place that a land surveyor is also a civil engineer. So the position actually kind of pay-wise is similar to like a civil engineer 1, entry-level civil engineer.
how did we do without the land surveyor before? Do we just get somebody in freelance or?
It was a combination of things, but probably mostly relying on the staff that were here to make their best judgment and using consultants.
Okay, and we can definitely keep that person busy full-time?
Yeah, there's plenty to do, and there's a lot of things where Kevin and myself and Jake, our current engineering tech, are really kind of behind the 8 ball and trying to get caught up with stuff. And the day-to-day business of the Department of Public Works is really what these folks are going to be doing. That'll allow Kevin to, look at things from a higher level, and myself the same.
Okay, thank you.
The change from pay grade 2 to pay grade 3 would affect our current tech as well? Is that
It would
right?
change his pay grade,
Pay grade.
but not necessarily his salary.
Yeah, I see it overlaps quite a bit.
Yes.
Okay.
That would be a judgment we'd have to make when we
We hire
hire
the
the
new
person, comparing experiences and that sort of thing.
Right. Trustee Jan Miller.
Yes, so we currently have yourself, Matt, we have Kevin, we have, and do we have the land surveyor? Or are we hiring?
No, our intent, if we're able to move ahead with these changes, would be to hire 1 more engineering tech, so we would have 2, and then to hire the land surveyor as well.
As you're looking at these other communities that are hiring a tech, and they're 53 to 67,000, what are the requirements as far as education?
It's entry level, so it's an associate's degree and a couple years of experience or just more years of experience. So I think for us to be able to get even entry level people into this position, we'll need to be up at this starting range to be competitive. But the good thing about moving this range is that these folks will have room to grow and not immediately get the urge to go somewhere else as well.
This is
Competitive positions.
because I noticed it said GED equivalent or associate's degree.
Yep.
When I think of it, a technician, to me, it doesn't seem like a lot of, unless they have a lot of experience, right?
Yeah, with less education, there's more experience required. And with more education, we would take a candidate with slightly less experience.
Mm-hmm. So you're adding 2 new positions,
Correct.
and the current tech is Jake. So would they necessarily move up in pay or not?
Jake's position,
Yes.
his pay grade would change, so the range available to him
Okay.
would change. It wouldn't necessarily affect his current pay rate, although we may want to look at that if we bring in somebody with comparable skills and
I see.
have some mismatch there.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that we would want to address that as well.
And where are you getting this funding for these positions? We're looking
This
at
is in the 2024 budget.
uh,
It's available.
in your DPW fund, not in a TID.
Not in a TID.
Just to correct that, the position is split out between all of the funds. So it's split out between the general fund, water utility, sewer utility, and the TIDs.
Could it be taken out of the DPW fund? I'm just asking. Is there enough?
You
I'm just
mean
asking.
just the general fund?
Yeah.
No, it couldn't be fully funded within the general fund.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the 2 new positions at the salary ranges requested.
Second, I'll second that.
If I could just make one comment, they're not new positions. They are budgeted positions. We're not adding them
2
to the
budgeted
budget.
positions.
Correct.
Get that right.
I think it's the pay grades that we're approving.
Yeah.
Yes.
True budgeted.
Correct. Yeah, I think this is great. We haven't had the staff we have right now for quite a while, and to fully staff it just saves on the outsourcing, and we know how expensive that is. So I think this would be fantastic if you can find candidates for both these positions.
Yeah, the expectation is to lower the outsourcing. So,
Yeah, and a lot of it will be, we certainly hope to do some of that. And a lot of it will be managing what we have as well. And a lot of that had kind of fallen by the wayside over the last couple of years. So we're trying to pick that back up.
and just a quick question. Do we have to survey the village itself, every piece of property? Or only when there is a change in?
Yeah, it's typically with developments and that sort of thing, or
Development.
projects if you're trying to measure quantities. If you look at the job description that was
Yeah.
attached, there's a pretty lengthy
Mhm.
description of all the tasks that we could be asking the land surveyor to perform.
I would imagine lot discrepancies, et cetera, anything that comes up with
Yeah,
that.
any sort of measurement, they would be key, but we'd also rely on them for, we're still gonna be a small department. When we have all these people on board, and they'll be asked to do things, like manage existing programs and projects and, so we'll be trying to get our best use out of them.
Great. Any further questions or comments? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. That will move on to item C, League of Municipalities Membership Renewal. Another annual renewal, correct?
Yep. So in the packet is the league's annual renewal. I put in the memo kind of what the League of Municipalities is and what they do on behalf of municipalities. Especially over the last several years with, changes in federal legislation related to ARPA, and the change in state aid, the league has played an instrumental role in keeping the village informed on those activities. So this is just their annual renewal, that I wanted to bring in front of you.
Right, committee?
Has it gone up at all in the recent years?
This is the first year it's gone up in a while. It went up about $500. I was looking back just to see what it was in 2010, and it was close to $7,000. So over the last, decade and a half, it's only gone up about $2,000 a year.
Yeah, I agree. It's something we have to be a part of. I'll make a motion to approve the membership for $9,232.55.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion. Any further discussion, any discussion on this? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we'll move on to item D, American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA update. Matthew, you taking this one as well?
In your packet is a memo summarizing the projects that we've used or have funded through ARPA, as well as the projects that we have committed dollars to. And when I say committed, I mean a contract is in place and is being executed. Year to date, 2022, 2023, as well as committed, we've spent just under $1.5 million or have committed $1.5 million, leaving a balance of just over $600,000 left. On the backside, I included uncommitted projects, which are projects that have been discussed, but no contract has been signed, and those funds remain uncommitted.
So, excuse me, what are you looking for? Are you looking for us to commit?
Nope,
these or just an update?
this is just an update to provide, a state of the union for the ARPA fund.
So after everything that's on this first page, the available balance is 643,
Correct.
okay. Which could fund the 3 items that are uncommitted right now.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Trustee Jan Miller.
When I got this memo on the ARPA funding, I was a little confused because you had given us the ARPA funding at the meeting on November 20th, and it was completely different. You made a statement that we had approximately $780,000 uncommitted remaining totals, and there was a motion by, I haven't seen the minutes, but I believe there was a motion by trustee Phil Hudson to commit $750,000 to the roads. And I thought that was voted on and it was unanimous. But I can't confirm that unless I have the minutes to the meeting. And I have the copy if you'd like to take a look at it. Sure.
Say your turn to trustee Miller.
It was from this meeting, the village
Okay,
board.
we can pull them.
Okay. It wasn't included, it was a
you.
handout, I believe.
There's a handout.
Yes.
Okay, we can take a look at those minutes if you'd like.
Yes. Go right ahead. I could be wrong.
Difference of how much?
Oh,
So this would have been at was this for GGF,
it's,
Village Board?
it says village board on the cover, on the title. So
We did have it at Village Board.
yes, we did.
Yeah, no,
But I-
this looks familiar. So you would recall it not included in this. Take a look. Yeah, so not included at this time was the Highway 167 project. And the village has committed $125,000 onto that project.
Why can't that be taken out of the roads?
The village could choose to, fund that project a different way. That is an option. But at this time, they've chosen to use ARPA funds for that project.
No, the ARPA fund road, the road ARPA fund.
So, look,
The Highway 167 intersection down here,
Understood.
we approved it through Public Works and Village Board to allocate $125,000 to that, that improvement. Most of it is coming from the state, but we. have
yeah,
portion.
a large portion.
Or, yeah, it's only. It is for-
And so when we originally had adopted, those ARPA buckets, we had set aside buckets for roads, for buildings,
Yes.
for parks and things like that. At this point, I wouldn't think about the ARPA funds as buckets, as the village board has taken, funds available and put them towards other things. For example, the village board decided to use ARPA funds to fund 2 firefighters in the 2024 budget. There wasn't a bucket for ARPA that said, public safety personnel.
No, and we,
Just been taken
and-
a little bit.
we've been moving things around. We
Correct.
took the trees and
Mhm.
got the library condenser.
Correct.
Understood.
Correct.
But I would like to see where we kind of move, it's really hard to tell on your new updated sheet
Mhm.
where we move the stuff or what the beginning balance was.
Well, the beginning balance would have been $2.1 million is what we received from the federal government.
I understand that, but for what we set aside for Miller Communications, what I found was $40,000 originally.
Oh, so you'd like a column that included, budget?
An
Yeah.
accounting of the original, right? So we were over on some, under on some.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then we get the residual balance.
Yeah, I mean, the residual balance will be the 643,549. But I can include a budget column.
But like the library condenser was really trees in the beginning. Just make a notation.
Correct.
Right. Because if you wanted to say tourism started with 85,000.
Yeah, there's a bucket of $85,000 for the tourism
Right,
commission.
right.
Correct.
It was all, okay. I think it's important that we and I want to find out about that. Do you remember that motion? And
I don't think there was ever a motion
It
except
was
for the,
discussion.
the intersection down here. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that was approved so far.
I know we did talk about that and
When
but
Division Road came up, I believe we
Yeah.
talked about it.
And certainly,
that's even prior to that. Phil Hudson talked about it at a village board meeting.
Okay.
But I think
This
we
is
could
just
probably just
recent.
check the minutes,
yeah,
You know,
we'll check the minutes from 11
see if
to
there's anything there. 'Cause
20.
I do not think it was a formal motion. I think it was just discussion. So,
and certainly the village board could choose to fund, Division Road
Mhm.
however they see fit. If if that was the motion, the funds aren't committed until there's a contract in place. If you look on the backside, there's the All Power tennis courts for $60,000. There was a motion within the budget to use ARPA funds for that, but a contract isn't in place, so those funds are technically not committed yet. The intent is to fund it through ARPA funds, but by committed, I mean there's a contract in place.
mhm.
Okay, I understand.
Harry?
I mean, as long as this is just here for discussion, I have to say, I propose projects, I stand behind them. I do, including actually the police department design, because we have to worry not just about day to day, but about the future of Germantown. And if you don't start planning this stuff now and working on it, it will never happen until the original police station falls apart. This is what happened with Public Works. I mean, we must have talked about building a new Public Works building for a decade. that I've been sitting on this board. And we finally got that ball rolling, what, 3.5, 4 years ago, 4 years ago. So I mean, it does take a lot of time. And so to have that plan in place, and I want to see the 5-year plan again, because I don't have it committed in my head. But I want to see our plan for when we are going to have to advance to the point where, who knows, maybe combine police and fire or whatever, and then find a new use for the remaining building. It could be for the community. So, but anyway, I think this is great, even though in Public Works, we did talk about that extra $500,000 and applying it to Division Road, which is in poor condition. I think that I'm open-minded enough to hear that discussion, but when I'm balancing all of these different needs, I think we can probably figure out a way to borrow or do something when the time comes in the next year or two for Division Road to do it in sections or 2 sections
Mm-hmm.
and still be able to use the ARPA funds for the design of the police building. But again, I'd have to see like how much exactly is it going to cost to design this? And once again, are we looking at the same time frame we were looking at a year ago, 2 years ago, when we first started talking about this? But right now, if I had to vote on this right now, I'd say I wouldn't change anything. Right down to, I know it sounds silly, but I really think we do need to allow the Recreation Department to resurface those courts. I mean, we took so much out of the Recreation Department budget and library budget, and this was one of the things we could use ARPA funds for. I mean, I struggled to use the ARPA funds for things in the library too, but it was disallowed under the standards. So this, I really would like to give to the community to be able to get those courts up and running in good shape. I wouldn't change that either.
So Matthew, you said the tennis courts are not committed just because we don't have a contract yet. However, they were approved at our budget meetings.
Correct, correct.
The other two
project
have
itself.
not been voted on yet.
Correct,
If I,
correct.
Right.
Um,
if I recall. Okay.
Yeah, the intent is to use ARPA funds for those. I would liken it to, the board approves the capital fund, but until, we actually borrow the funds, you're able to make those changes.
And I think, was it just the resurfacing of the tennis courts, or were they going to consider pickleball?
Gil is here to give us more information.
Enlighten.
Thank you, Gail.
Thanks.
Yeah, y'all may indulge me. I just
Thank you.
Yes, I'm still asking for the money to resurface the tennis courts that outdoors. Asking us to consider adjustment 6.
It's good. No. Hit it again. No. Light off. There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. What I'd like to you to consider, the 60,000 was the price I got from 2022 to 2023. In 2022, I asked for the course to be done in 2023. That didn't happen. And when I came back and asked for ARPA funds in 2023, the 60,000 was a valid price. Since then, since I've worked with this company that you've got the information from, they're requesting 67,800 to do that work. So I just wanted you to consider the possibility of giving me the extra 7,800.
Oh, yeah, trustee Kaminsky.
I can't recall if this was put out to bids originally, so this was the very best price for this, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you had 3 bids on it or whatever. Okay. And so it probably costs have just gone up that much over the past
Yes,
9
ma'am.
months or whatever.
Right.
Okay.
Right, well, there's no action, right? We can't take anything action on this at all, because this is just an update.
Correct. The action would be, once, a contract is presented to the committee,
But I mean,
then you could approve the contract for that
everything
amount.
is just an update, so we can't.
Right.
We appreciate that cost
Yeah.
update for us, and
Mm-hmm.
so we're not blindsided when the contract comes. So about 7,800 more. That's
Yeah,
yeah,
What are you gonna do?
12%.
about asphalt, right?
Okay. Anything else on the ARPA funds for now? If not, let's move on to, excuse me, 2023 audit and PSC report process and timeline.
In your packet is a memo, kind of doing a high level timeline for the 2023 audit. Started mostly a little bit last week and this week where we're putting together preliminary data to send over to Baker Tilly. Myself and some of my staff are going to meet with Baker Tilly on Wednesday, kind of to go over some of the high level stuff and to ensure they have all the information they need to get started on that project. As noted in the memo, Baker Tilly will be here the week of April 1st to do their on-site work. They'll typically be here, 3-4 days, working with village staff to get the information they needed. I included some high-level dates that where many reports are due, specifically the PSC report to the state, as well as the state report that shows some of the analysis of our general fund and balance sheets, with the deadline for the village to submit the 2023 ACFR to the GFOA on June 30th, 2024.
Why does it say if applying?
So the GFOA, or municipalities can submit, their ACFR document to the GFOA to get a certificate or an award from the GFOA for outstanding, ACFR documents.
I wasn't sure if it was a grant process or something
Nope.
else.
Nope.
Not giving us any money, just accolades.
Correct.
Still good. Right. Looks like quite a bit different timeline from the last couple of years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Trustee Jan Miller.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with this updated fast track timeline. Thank you for that. And I hope that after your meetings, if there are any changes in this, that you'll keep us informed. And we get monthly, I think having a monthly update, because we've been in the rears for the last couple of years. Oh, it rhymes. Anyway, so I'd like to get caught up. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions about the audit or comments? Great. We'll move on to reports then. First one is accounts payable. And that is all included. I do like the new reports a lot better.
A lot easier to understand.
Yeah.
Oh, and I do apologize. The two check runs that are in here were ones I did myself, and I did not email them out to the village board as we typically would. That's my fault. I did those, and I didn't think about it when I posted them.
So we're going to do that though, going forward.
Correct.
Appreciate it. It's a lot to go through.
Right. Next report is budget to actual. Trying to get there.
Trying to get there.
It's quite the check run.
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Matthew, the year-to-date budget report, when that says for 2023-12, that means as of 12/31,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
And in the case here now, would that be everything for December, or there's still?
No, so we're still doing processing invoices and things like that, as well as there's journal entries we need to input. For example, if you look at the very first line in the budget actual, you'll see general property taxes. We have to do a journal entry for the last 2 months of property tax revenue. Even though we've received it all, we still have to do a journal entry saying that we've received it all. And on the expense side, we're still processing invoices, for December, that we received towards the end of December or early January, and then we charge those back into 2023.
The only question I have, and this is much easier to read, it's spacing and everything is much better.
Mhm.
When you go through the 100 or whatever pages that there are, I was trying to think if there was some type of summary report
Yeah.
that could highlight something that went over budget by, X amount percentage. It's, I don't think you can go by dollars because there are lower budgets, it wouldn't show. And I'm just wondering if there's some we could look at in the future, maybe that would
Mhm.
summarize it so that we wouldn't always have to, if you're in a hurry, you don't have to go through page by page by page.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with a report that, only highlights,
Okay.
if it's over by, 5% or 10%.
Yeah.
There certainly could be. I'd have to look into that. I haven't seen it since just my time in there. But I haven't gone through, every report that's available.
Okay.
But that's something I can look
Bill, are
into.
you saying for each one of the major items, like the first set of numbers? Because the totals are there, it's just on every page or after every
Yeah,
one
I'm
of
saying
those. But you're looking
available.
for like a consolidated sheet of that? That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Wonder.
Can't just collapse it.
Um,
Couldn't if I Exceled it out, probably.
Also, we have the the budget, right? It's this year's the 2023 budget, correct?
Correct.
So we don't have any data from 2022 on here.
Correct. This would just be a year-to-date budget report for 2023.
Is there any kind of a comparison?
That's a great question.
That's what were we doing this time last year? What would, and comparing, because I
In
can see it toward,
in MSI, it was just is similar to this. It was just a year-to-date budget.
I really saw those
Right.
during budget time.
right, but in my world where I came from, you could see what happened last year and what was going on this year. It shows the trend. And if you look at our ACFR, you have a 10-year trend, just about a 10-year trend. So the information must be in the computer.
I'm sure there's a report that I could run that shows, by actuals, maybe 2021 actuals, 22 actuals, 23 actuals. We don't have all of 21 and 22 in here yet. So we're still importing some of that data. All of 23 is in here, but we don't have all the history in MS or in Munis yet. But I can look for a report that shows, year over year. I don't know if you'd want it by account or by fund. It's a lot of data, but there's reports we could run.
If we get that little condensed
Mhm.
version too, it could be put in there. Right? But it's a consolidated version. But it's nice to, by department, see what's trending.
Yeah, year over year.
Yes. Thank you.
Steve Kaminsky.
Matthew, just a dumb question. What do the asterisks mean besides many of the budget numbers?
What do the asterisks mean?
Take any year-to-date page and you'll see a bunch of asterisks by most of the numbers, but not by all of them.
Oh, on the percent.
Yeah, on the percent, which is what I always look at to see where we're at.
That is not a dumb question because I'm not exactly sure what the asterisks mean.
I thought it meant like maybe it was over, but it's not, because when you look at this, you'll see even if 44% of the budget's used, it doesn't have an asterisk. And then I guess my other question, I don't know, I'm just looking at, I just picked any page of this, and it happens to be, I was looking, now I lost it. It was under the fire department administration, for example. It looked like telephone was 74% over budget. It was, instead of 18,000, it was like 29,000. And I was just curious as to why something like that might be. Is that a shared cost that's
I
just,
think we went through that before. That's an allocated thing that has
so
to be.
then all are gonna be over significantly if it's an allocated cost, correct?
It goes to one and then it gets distributed to the.
So it
the
all went to
fire-
the fire department?
That's
Oh, the
only
fire
for
department, I'm
general
sorry. I
phones.
thought you meant the general phone.
Under phones though might be their cell phones and things like that. So it's not just
So
the
how
regular
come we'll get
phones.
That big. Um,
Let me-
I lost my
I
page.
thought we had a new phone system. Does that entail the cell phones as well or not?
No,
Oh.
that doesn't have anything to do with cell phones.
Oh,
That's just for the general landlines.
do we have a contract for the cell phones?
We don't have a contract. We work with US Cellular and Verizon.
Yeah, here it is, telephone, it's on, gosh, where are the page numbers on this thing?
Bottom right.
Bottom right. You gotta scroll up just.
Oh, no, I'm on the wrong one here.
Oh,
Yeah,
here
there.
we are, page 19. On page 19 is the one I was referring to. And, let's see, it's second from the bottom there. And it's telephone budgeted 18,029.5 was
Mhm.
spent.
So that is one where we go in and look at the actual account detail and just make sure everything was allocated properly. And that'd be a combination of doing that in Munis and in MSI. In Munis, everything looks correct, but we imported about $20,000 from MSI. So I'd go into MSI and look at that account and see what's actually been charged there, and just ensure that everything is looking correctly. So I don't have an answer, at this moment why.
Just
but-
curious, because, the difference would be if it's just hasn't been allocated, that's one thing. But if it has been allocated and the allocation has put this single budget item that far over, then that's happening in all the other it has to be, if it's allocated correctly. So that's
Right.
why I just was curious.
Yep.
If you could let us know that, maybe next time.
So next month, would we have the final numbers for December? Or is that too close yet?
Probably not the final numbers. No, we'll be making audit entries with Baker Tilly throughout the next couple of months. By March, I would say we'd have a really good idea of any final numbers. At that point, typically the larger entries are for capital projects and for the utilities. But I would say by March, we'd be pretty confident in our general fund numbers.
You're good.
Another question.
Got another question?
I just don't understand.
No, that's good.
I am on page 18 and I'm not picking on the fire department administration. I just happen to see all these really big numbers here. And here's another one, 248%. Budgeted $9,943, which put this significantly the third line item from the bottom. That's copies, and I know that's allocated across all. And what is S&E, general S&E?
Supplies and expenses.
Okay, that one's significantly over too, budgeted 6,000, and in here it's 15,192. So again, if that's something that's allocated over everyone, something's wrong. It just doesn't seem right. Why is it stuck in the fire department, or is the fire department spending that much?
So you said the copier, they have their own copier contract.
Okay,
That's not like the village copier contract, which is allocated.
then we should look at that, because something that's more than 100% over budget is an issue. And the S&E, that was over budget by like almost 200%.
Do you have the account number for that one? I'm just trying to pull it up here.
Let's see, 531000.
Oh, that's my mistake.
175%. So just curious, I'm sure it's probably something that got goofed up somehow, I would think, but I would like to have those answers next time, because if not, that's an issue. There's some bad budgeting going on, or a lot of excessive spending in these areas going on. I'd like to know why.
I was kind of waiting for Matt there. Are you still looking that up or are you?
So
Yeah.
for the general supplies and expense one, what happened there is some of the purchase cards have gotten allocated there, but they need to be allocated out to their actual GL line. So what happens is when we use the credit card, it defaults to a general ledger account, and then either the chief or whoever will say it's not supposed to go in the general supplies and expense. We bought something for equipment maintenance or things like that.
The GL coding.
But
yeah.
it defaults to a specific GL code. And that's what I'm seeing for that line specifically. For the copier, I'd have to do some more digging.
Oh,
I'll provide an update the next GGF meetings.
Curious, because that's obviously they're getting hit on a lot of things that just look at page 18 and pick anything.
Okay.
They're all over it.
Okay.
And I was out of power yesterday, so I didn't get through this whole thing. On our year-to-date budget,
Mhm.
do we have the TIDs in here?
Yep.
Okay.
I don't have that in front of me. It'd
Or
be
would
more
they be at
towards
the end?
Yeah, towards like the bottom half of the PDF, because it's in order by fund on their fund.
Oh, yeah,
by,
okay.
so they'd be in there.
6. Mm-hmm. You know, if it's. It's not labeled very well.
It's hard to navigate on this.
It
That's-
is because there's like one item on one thing and. Oh, well, you can answer the question. We have 6 through 9 in here, right?
For the TIDs, yes, TIDs 6 through 9.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on the year to date?
Well, I don't know where this falls under, but I remember it was the last, I think, village board meeting that we had when the audit was discussed, finalized, whatever. And I'm thinking, Rick, was it you and David brought up about
Yep.
the $1 million? Was
Yep.
that question ever answered?
It's on tonight's
Is that
agenda.
on for village board? Okay,
Mhm.
okay, good. The other thing is, if you, on here, if you get to a particular invoice, it looks like we should be, the prompt is given that we can access it, but we don't have access to looking at that, correct?
Not yet.
Because it just asks for a sign in,
Correct. If anything that's blue, if you click on it,
Yeah.
it's a link and it'll take you into, that specific item.
okay,
You just don't have a login yet.
okay.
Will that occur this year?
Certainly, but yeah, certainly in 2024.
Okay, great.
All right, the last item is payroll, which is still in MSI and that's scheduled March, is that right?
The first payroll that will be, excuse me, in Munis, will be the pay date of April 2nd. So yeah, end of March, early April.
So first part of second quarter.
Correct.
Yep, okay. All right, any questions? Right. If not, let's just do a quick schedule on our next meeting, which would be the scheduled date of the 19th, same as the village board meeting. Is everybody good with that? 19th of February, correct. All right, excellent. So there's no other business, so we will adjourn the meeting at 6:54. Thank you.